Soon we're going to see everybody on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. If you're watching the replay video, stay tuned. The channeling will begin soonish. And if you're watching live, that's great too. We're going to put the link to join in the live chat. And below that is the link to website Dante Starshine. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining or watching today. Happy to be here with you. In a short while, I will begin channeling Pleiadian Council, and everybody is welcome to hop in with their questions. And ideally, you can ask your questions in Zoom. And if you are not speaking, please keep yourself muted at all times, as there can be some background interference that is a little distracting. So I also offer personal sessions. I have a channeling course and I have 2 books out. Check it all out at dantestarshine.com. And on that front page, you can sign up for the email list as well. That'll let you know every time I will be going live. Hopefully, it's going to be happening more frequently now. I've been putting a lot of time into a new book that should be available, I don't know, sometime at the end of the month or next month. Last stages now, so stay tuned for that. I'm excited to get that out there. And yeah, I'll be on here a little bit more regularly, so stay tuned. And I need to do one more thing before beginning to channel.
The sound is good.
Oh, that's good. We like when the sound is good. And yeah, please always you can interrupt me um if the sound or anything else ever goes off. Please just interrupt me so that I know and can fix it sooner rather than later. Oh, this is so confusing right now. Okay. So also, yeah, you can type your questions into Zoom. I have one written question that it would be great if somebody can read. Somebody asked me to include this in the transmission, and now it is in Zoom. And all types of questions are welcome. If it's possible, you frame your question in a way that benefits everybody, speaking in more universal terms about some of the themes. That's amazing. But if it is a personal question, that's also welcome. And we just ask to please take no more than I say the right window is 5 to 10 minutes. But if there isn't that many people here today, we can make a change. But I think it might be filling in quite well, slowly but surely. Okay, so I'll see you on the other side. Hello, and we say fantastic day to all of you. We are the Pleiadian Council, and we speak on behalf of an intergalactic alliance supporting your world in this process of evolution and awakening. It is a gift and a blessing for us to be able to contact you. For as we reach out and support, we also deepen in our connection with the source, and we learn very much through the reflections that you offer to us. So we extend our gratitude, and today we will speak on a variety of things. First, you can notice, yes, there is an eclipse that is impending in just an hour or so. And this eclipse is a very potent time to initiate a process of transformation, a process of sublimation or transmutation, a letting go of sorts of your own attachments in such a way that you can really allow yourself to be fully present in this moment. Let your heart be open. Let your heart work with the energy that is to catalyze your own awakening, to let yourself be anchored in unconditional love, love without conditions. When you attach to what you think has to happen for yourself or for the world, you create a greater challenge that holds you back from seeing things in the way that will allow you to turn it into something positive. Indeed, your world right now is a very interesting show. There are so many things that are changing very quickly. And this initiates a whole new array of changes that you might witness taking place over the next year or so. At an energetic level, what's most important is to tap into the energy of empathy, of courage, and of compassion. This is going to be what it takes to break through. It's what it takes to break through in your own way, to make the right choices, to direct your life by love and not out of fear, not as a way of avoiding something. It's also what it takes to break down the walls between people that cause judgment and misunderstanding. Many have their feathers ruffled, you could say, on your planet by changes that are taking place. Some feel very afraid of an uncertain future that can hold war, economic turmoil, violence, hatred, and all sorts of dense vibrations that diminish the unity and power of humanity. Others remain in ignorance, thinking that everything that's happening is purely positive and a sign of their great personal power. And this is a very unfortunate position, though so is the fear. So is the fear that just because things are looking different, that it has to affect you in a way that holds you back from being the best version of yourself and living with your heart completely open. There are some people in your world that are still hooked in to a very false idea that the survival of the fittest is the way that things go and is the right way to operate at this time. This idea is based upon competition, and competition can allow for your survival, but only compassion allows for you to thrive. And this is because compassion is what allows you to form the strongest bonds with others. And when people all have their hearts open and they collaborate and support each other, you can thrive in ways that are not possible when people only think about themselves. And in order for your world to become more compassionate, this is the exact energy that you have to cultivate in your own being. Compassionate is not enabling, however, and this is where many people get mixed up. To be compassionate starts with yourself. It starts with honoring all of the experiences that you're having, of accepting the experience of every single emotion. In fact, compassion does not seek to fix emotions, problems, or issues immediately. Instead, it seeks to understand and hold a space of love. In that open and understanding space where you're not afraid of emotions, you're not afraid of loss, you're not afraid of separation, you're simply curiously open to what could be the most loving choice in that time. You allow yourself to be free. You allow yourself to see things clearly as they are so that you can make the best choice that will lift you into the vibration of love. And you can be in the vibration of love and still feel the presence of fear and uncertainty and sadness and all the other full spectrum of human emotions. It need not matter if these other emotions are gone. What matters more is that the presence of love becomes an undeniable background. The background is always present. And despite what appears in the foreground, you can trust that the background is all encompassing and is, in fact, much bigger than the foreground. Emotions come to the foreground, conflicts come to the foreground, uncertainties come to the foreground. But when the background is love, a deeper embrace of trust becomes possible because you know that this love is all encompassing and this love absolutely surrounds you on all sides. You might see many unsettling things pop up in the foreground, but when you dissolve into the background of love, yes, you will be able to trust. You will be able to find that courage to choose what's right for you. Now, yes, empathy leads to this compassion, the ability to feel what others are feeling and understand where it's coming from. And there needs to be many people out there using these energies to be an active peacemaker, to use the power of their open heart to bring other people on board with the train of compassion, with the idea of openness to understanding others and coming together in collaboration. And yes, all of these energies can still come with an, a very strong boundary, a very strong stance of self protection. And this may also be needed at these times because you will be asked to stand up for your truth. You will be asked to stand up for kindness and fairness. You will be asked to stand up for collaboration over competition. And you must understand that the ways you do this on a micro level will ripple out to the macro level. The ways that you attend to this in the microcosm will change all that you see around you. You have to put more emphasis on the details and understand that nothing is separate. Just because some expressions or constellations appear to be small, because all is one and the one is in all, these small feats are just as potent and powerful in the big picture as it ripples. Let yourself know that, yes, you have the power to change not just yourself, but to change and impact the world around you. And knowing that this is true, to be more courageous, to let yourself be bold, to let yourself take measured risks and surrender becomes far easier. This is what you will need to do. As these eclipses come through, there might be a yearning for freedom that awakens within you. This is not the freedom to do whatever you please, it's the freedom to undo the shackles of your own bondage. And these shackles are not imposed upon you by anyone but yourself. The greatest shackles are those of your own attachments to what you think you need, but don't really need. It comes from your attachments to the ideas of who you're supposed to be and what life is supposed to be, instead of embracing things as they are. Sometimes many of you fear the energy of acceptance because you think that acceptance means tolerating reality as it is. Acceptance does not mean complacency. Acceptance means to drop your denial of reality and know that what's real is real for a reason, and that there is real change that can happen when you stop resisting. Resistance can express as denial, suppression, frustration, and many other forms. Instead of resisting, allow yourself to drop the tension that you're holding in a safe space by creating that safe space in each moment of your life. And as you drop the resistance, you find the power to direct your focus to that which becomes the solution to your problems. Embrace that the power exists within all of you. Sometimes you give your power away to the macro conditions, to the idea of economy and nation states and this and that. But really, while this has an influence on you, it only has the power that you decide it has. You might sometimes go through periods of having less and periods of having more. You might go through periods of feeling more empowered, periods of feeling less empowered. Though what really makes the biggest difference in your life is how connected to others you are, how connected to the environment around you that you are. And it's important to recognize that thriving is not an individual effort, but is the result of collaboration. Should you ever feel burdened, remember the most important thing is to strengthen your bonds to this universe and this world and all the beings in it. There are other people who are working through the same difficulties and working through the same belief systems that you are. When you can come together with an open hearts and a willingness to explore how you might help each other break free, your power to do just that is greatly, exponentially expanded. So make sure that you watch yourself and you reel back your own mind when you find yourself drifting off into the future. Bring yourself into the present and feel your connection with those that are dearest to your heart around you and collaborate. Find the ways that you share mutual passion for many ideas and activities and use that to immerse yourself deeper into the field of love. Allow your connection with others to build a bigger and bigger web that brings more and more people into that vibration of compassion. Remember that you can influence others to cultivate compassion by having compassion for them. And it is impossible to get other people to have compassion and see your position if you greet them with an energy of aggression, hostility, or judgment. When you feel these energies coming up, allow yourself to observe them and look them dead in the eye and take a deep breath and out, in and out as you exhale, intending, affirming, I let this go. I let go of this judgment and this hostility. I let go of this fear at the core of these energies. And I trust that something much grander is taking place. And indeed, it's just that. Your world is preparing to break through to a whole new realm of experience. However, because this new vibration of love is not compatible with many of the systems that you have built on your planet now, those systems have to self destruct because those systems are not inorganic and are made from human consciousness. Human consciousness, at some capacity, has to self destruct those systems in a variety of ways over a period of time for a number of years. And it's been said and will be said, these are not the times of perfect harmony and order. Harmony can be found, order can be found, though the waves of chaos are a part of that process of deconstructing the old order to build a new earth. And you are a part of that process. So we hope you can integrate this information and it carries with your life a beautiful new wave of trust, of openness. How can we be of service to you in a response? Do you have any questions, concerns, ideas you would like to share with us? We are here whenever you wish.
Yes, I would go first, if no
Okay.
one else. So my first question is, would we benefit greatly if we would constantly breathe very deep, or as deep as it feels comfortable? Would it be
Con-
a great benefit, spiritual and physical benefit? Any of these?
yes, there would be benefit, though it's not always practical. For example, sometimes you are speaking, sometimes you are relaxing to the extent of sleeping, in which some of your consciousness is totally dropping away and surrendering. So it's impractical to always be breathing that deeply. Though in moments that you are intending to cultivate a greater presence, a greater calmness, a greater degree of self-control, to consciously breathe as deeply as you can is very helpful. Though there are other processes that it would be better to focus your concentration on something else. Like some forms of meditation, you simply witness without controlling the breath. And that has its own effect on the nervous system and on your ability to concentrate. These practices complement each other. So it's important to have a variety of different practices and ways of working with your own energy so that you know when to apply which practice. Though, yes, in general, breathe as deeply as you can, breathe as slowly as you can. When you are feeling anxious, put more emphasis on your exhalation. And this can help you to stay in balance and stay focused.
Oh, great, thank you. And another question, I was wondering if, for example, the Samiti species, like the Sasani, for example, I know that they are highly evolved and thus they're semi-physicalized, so they're not that physical, and they say that they can be either in spirit, either in physical, however they want in that in a moment to appear.
That's
And
correct.
and I also know that they said that they are also transcending the physical, like they're dying whenever they have approximately 300 to 500 years of age. And I was wondering, how does these two things add up? Because when you are semi-physicalized, I think that you can easily transition into spirit gradually without dying in the classical sense. Do you have any reflection on this perspective?
Well, semi or quasi physical beings are beings that have a physical body when they want to, and they morph that physical body and enter into a non physical state for different purposes at will. Often these purposes are transformation. Sometimes these purposes are to bend the physical reality to some degree, to enter into a different aspect of physical reality or a different timeline or a different plane altogether. Though, yes, despite the permeability and the amorphous nature of a quasi physical incarnation, there is still a body. And to drop the body and to permanently enter into a non physical spiritual state is of significance for all beings, as once you leave this physical realm, which is very much like a dream your soul is having, you have a more all encompassing awareness. And your ability to experience this more amorphous nature becomes more pronounced. So we hope that clarifies that to some extent. Is there any confusion still?
Yes, I was, but don't they get to a certain level where the non-physical is their primary way of being, and from that place they can easily transcend into spirit gradually without needing to die in the classical sense of the meaning?
Well, the transcendence, letting go of the body, is a more conscious thing. It's generally for these quasi physical beings known that they are leaving. It's decided rather than known. Yes,
Sorry, so decided, unknown. I
it's
couldn't
like
get it.
they decide
Ah,
when they
decide.
leave the body. They decide when they will die. So yes, they are deepening their connection to spirit. They are preparing, and eventually they just go. But just as much as they are celebrated in coming into the body, they're celebrated in leaving the body, because beings at that level know that consciousness is far more encompassing beyond life, and that just because one is in a body doesn't mean that being in the body versus being outside of the body is better or worse. It's understood to be a beginning just as much as it is an end. And beings who are remaining in body recognize that those who leave the body don't go anywhere. They are always with them. So it's not the same as a human experience of dying, whereas the suffering and all of the other stages of that process are not as real.
Yeah, of course. What I've seen in my experiences is the fact, in my entheogenic experience, is the fact that I could get to a certain point where I could transition gradually from a play state, from a state of playful transcendence, from physical to spirit and back again, and then again to spirit, not needing to decay, to have the body decayed or living at a certain point. And that's why I'm wondering why they define it as such. They define it like we are dying at the age of 300, because at that level, I cannot imagine someone really dying. It's like a play between dimensions, between states of being, more than just leaving abruptly the physical into spirit. It's like a
You're
state of,
right. That's far more of a transition. It's a gradual process rather than something abrupt. It's very different than human death, but it is nonetheless a leaving behind of the physical permanently that takes place.
at a certain point because of certain personal reasons, or
Well, because it feels relevant.
yeah. So
It feels relevant to return to the oversoul. The oversoul has a far more encompassing perspective. The oversoul, as it connects to all of one's incarnations, has much more consciousness, information, presence. So it's like returning into the arms of your beloved when you leave. And these beings know that. They know that we, as yes, quasi-physical beings, we can say, because this is also our experience, we come into an incarnation knowing that we are on a journey, and this journey is an everlasting process that will bring us back into the arms of that which we've come from. And the whole process is exciting. It's not to say that the beginning or the end or any stage of the process is better or worse than any other part. But yes, it's embraced that there is an end to physicality, and we see it more as a liberation than a loss.
yeah, of course. But aren't you free all the time? Why is it a liberation? Why do you define it as a liberation?
Because again, as we've said, when you return to the oversoul, you gain consciousness, you gain experience, you gain a more all encompassing presence that is not
Ah,
possible within the limitation of an incarnation, whether it is a physical incarnation or a quasi physical incarnation. It is a gain, it is an expansion, it is not a loss. You have to
yeah, of
reframe.
course. I didn't define it as a loss, but I was wondering why liberation and not expansion, and that's
Yeah,
what my salty. So
well, liberation is implied whenever there is a shedding of limitations. Some limitations are helpful, and some limitations are more constraining and burdensome. But to go beyond limitation is liberation. Yes.
I see. They also said that they're in contact at all times with the oversoul, so that's another aspect. But we'll discuss some other time, or if you want to have a reflect
Yes.
on that. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
All right. Our thanks to you. Any other questions at this time?
I have a question or query,
All right.
and that would be about the process or the process of compassion for others, but starting with compassion for self.
Yes.
And a couple aspects of that. Well, I'll start with a sort of third one I had in mind, which is about humor, or about gallows humor, even in the process of observing the struggles of our planet, particularly political struggles. So that's one aspect I'm interested in knowing a little bit about, like how to. So how I perceive it is one sits within one's compassion for oneself, and is therefore able to express compassion for another, in spite of what you may observe as a misguided energy, perhaps even a waste of energy.
Yes.
So, because it all becomes so ridiculous in a way, as when one is able to just become an observer. I guess I'm talking about the difference between observing and absorbing, and the difficulties therein of encountering perhaps someone who lacks compassion, perhaps being a little stunned by it and not knowing how to respond immediately. Where does one put one's feelings to stay within compassion?
Well, having compassion for yourself in this situation means that you embrace the experience of surprise or shock, and you embrace all the other emotions that come up, allowing yourself to appreciate this response. And compassion for the other is in recognizing that their ignorance is generally the result of fear. They fear loss, they fear powerlessness, they fear dissolving of their ego, they fear many different things.
Mm.
All of that motivates their choices. But because they don't wish to be aware of their fear and they don't wish to sit with it, they become reactive and they treat themselves as entitled. It's recognizing where this comes from.
Mm.
Their willingness to bring down others or take from them is only the result of deeply held fears that they're unwilling to see. So it becomes easier to be compassionate knowing that, but also knowing that to be compassionate is the only way to help them soften and
Mm.
get closer to their fears, to start to acknowledge what is running the show. Because if you greet them with judgment, they will respond with greater judgment. And it
Mm.
will just be a back and forth that strengthens the defenses of both parties.
So there is a place of honoring their fear in a way. Yeah.
Yes, it's recognizing the energy that has to be sorted out and transformed in order for their behavior to change. And in recognizing that, you can also create a space of softening towards your own fear.
Mm.
For example, feelings of aggression come from a fear of threat. Same with many feelings of judgment. None of those emotions would be rising to the surface were there not a feeling of potential threat. So when you're able to have compassion for your own fear, you can have compassion for their fear too. Now, there might be very different circumstances, but nonetheless, the core energy is the same. Fear is still fear, regardless if a billionaire experiences it or a poor person experiences it.
Yes.
And of course, they're in very different contexts. That isn't to say they're both equal, because it's absolutely not equal. But that energy is the same. It's the same human experience. And if it is the same, yes, it is because these ultra powerful people feel fear that they instill fear in the masses. But just as much because, again, the microcosm becomes the macrocosm. When you can overcome your own fear, that isn't even the right word. When you can make the space for your own fear to transform within yourself, you do so for the collective as well. And when you make the space for other people to feel seen, whether or not they want to, something will change.
Beautiful. Thank you. I will.
Moments that you might have been disarmed, or others have disarmed you with responses like silence, acceptance. These energies, you become like a mirror. When you don't react, you polish the mirror of your heart. And in that energy of contemplation and awareness, when others come at you with an energy that is perhaps judgmental or combative, they can see themselves, because you're offering a vibration that's very different. When you offer a vibration of compassion to those who are judgmental, they get the opportunity to see themselves as judgmental.
Makes sense.
If you judge them, then it becomes that hall of mirrors effect, where both parties forever see the other as judgmental without coming to recognize it in themselves.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you very much.
Oh, thanks to you as well, yes.
Love you.
Oh, unconditional love to you as well.
Thank you.
Hello, Pleiadian Council. I have a question.
Hello. Yes.
Yes, I am a human who is very excited to be here right now, co-creating the New Earth reality. And my guides tell me that what will be unfolding for humanity is so magnificent that it is beyond human comprehension. And so I am very curious, from your perspective, can you give us a preview? What are some of the first waves of manifestation of New Earth reality that you see that we are co-creating for ourselves?
There are to be many waves of uniting of energies, of people coming together in the name of love. And this is triggered by the presence of fear and aggression. As the world gets darker, the light becomes more clear. Many people shall be coming together in the name of love. And those who are tuned to this vibration will experience greater synchronicity, greater flow, a greater sense of connection to those in their community, greater telepathy, a sense that they are able to share collective thoughts with one another. There will be immense growth that happens through human unity. There will also be many surprises and shocks along the way. Indeed, the first waves are not going to be entirely easy. And this year itself is one that will bring very many bumps on the road. So that's something to be excited for, because it will bring out the wisdom in you in navigating those changes. In more distant futures, yes, as we've said, open contact is clearly on its way. And those who are on the path of establishing greater connection to their own guides in other realms, and also especially these guides who come from other planets and places within this universe, you will be given greater opportunities to know and trust in these connections through sightings, telepathic contacts, through group psychic phenomena, and far more. And the united planet, Earth, will look very different than Earth in its present form. It is a process that is forever unfolding.
Thank you, Pleiadian Council. That gladdens my heart to hear. I suppose in terms of leadership around navigating these bumps in the road that are not entirely, um, that are, we're forging new ground. So I expect there to be surprises that are challenging, but that, like you said, bring out our wisdom. What what are some principles that we can really lean into that will help bring out our light leadership and our wisdom?
Returning always to what you put out comes back, the universal nature of cause and effect. It's all about the motivation behind your intention. Many people have been focused very much on intention, and indeed, your intention matters so much. What you intend to create either comes about or it does not, and that gives you lessons so that you can come to fulfill your intentions. Your intentions allow for other beings, both in physical and in non-physical realms, to be able to support you. But understanding your own motivation behind your intentions is, in some senses, even more important than being clear about your intentions. When you are motivated by fear, more fear comes into your life. When you are motivated by love, more love comes into your life. The thing about these so-called bumps in the road is that they are essentially designed to bring you in touch with your own core vibration. They surprise you. They reveal to you, are you leaning more into fear or are you leaning more into love? Of course, there's a wide spectrum of energies, and there are many ways that fear expresses itself: through anger, through sadness, through judgment, through envy, and so on. There's many faces to this fear. Whatever unique face it manifests, it will be amplified if you choose to act in it. So you must become an example of someone who is aware of the response that arises, does not push it down or react to it, but can hold it and then find motivation through love. Let love become the motivating force that drives your actions. And you can do this by letting go and accepting. What if my fears came to be true? This is an important question to ask. What if I experience the very thing that I'm afraid of? If that were true, remember, you are in a supportive universe. You are in a realm with so much collaboration. You are a capable being, and you have the capacity to adapt. The more that you prove this to yourself by acting in the name of love and adapting, the more you will believe it fully and completely. And the more it will be difficult to scare you. And when you no longer can be triggered into a fear response, you will become far more powerful. And that will be something that changes your world. So you first have to become that kind of a being that can watch their fear and not act as a result of the fear, or not act on the fear, and instead choose love. And as you become consciously just that, sort of a courageous being, courage again being the ability to choose love in spite of fear, you will teach many others to be just that as well. And remember that you teach it through your presence. That is the primary way you teach it, by being it. By being a courageous being, you teach others to be a courageous being. Of course, some of you might be able to put words to it. Some of you will struggle to put words to it, and you might express it through art. Others of you don't even need to express it in that specific sort of explanatory way. It becomes a self-explanatory thing when you continuously be courageous. Is that something you can play with? Does that resonate?
Oh, thank you for the inspiration. Absolutely. You touched a place in my heart that I didn't know need to be touched.
Oh, all
And
right.
yeah, so that gives me a beautiful picture of how I can proceed. And I think it's very important for me right now and for many humans to hear that, yes, indeed, we are in a supportive universe.
Yes.
Thank you.
Oh, well, thanks to you as well.
Would you like me to read a few questions from the chat?
Oh, yes, that would be very exciting.
Right, let's see what we have here. This is from Janavi to everyone. I feel excited now to be a part of co-creating New Earth reality. My higher self and guides tell me what will be unfolding for us as humanity is beyond human. Oh, I'm sorry, that was the love who just spoke. Okay, give me a moment here.
No worries at all.
There's another one. Okay, here's another one. Well, Mike, I'll read this for you. A while back, you mentioned something about having sex was also a way to love yourself more, discover more of who you are. Does that mean that more value in having sex with someone who is not our normal type? And is that also a way of letting Source know or discover more itself. Would love your comments in this.
Well, some people may explore the idea of expanding what they consider their type as a way of getting to know themselves. For some, this can mean stepping into that role of a sort of sensual healer, in that there are many beings in your world that have, for a variety of reasons, according to their past experiences, developed beliefs that cause them to distrust their body or to feel shame around the sensual nature of their body. And therefore, there needs to be capable healers that can help people work through body shame, shame around sensuality, shame around sexuality, fear around exploring the body, and so on. And these healers must be the types of people who can go beyond appearances and can appreciate the beauty in all beings, the beauty that is present at an emotional level, at a soul level, not just at a physical level. These are beings that can appreciate a wide range of sensual experiences without judging or labeling, considering some better or worse. And yes, it is true for many that people have accepted conditions and accepted beliefs about what is good and what is bad in terms of attraction to people. And it may be very good to challenge them. Though, in general, when it comes to establishing lasting partnerships or relationships with others, the immediate attraction is part of what brings people together and keeps people together. That isn't just physical attraction, it is emotional attraction that has to do with having compatible or similar beliefs and intentions in life. So don't deny your attraction, but yes, it can be very helpful to challenge it, to challenge when you don't necessarily feel immediately attracted to someone physically. There might be another level of attraction between your souls that seeks expression and seeks healing. So, yes, this may be beneficial for some people, but again, in terms of what we were saying of being a sensual healer, this is relevant for some people, and it is not relevant for all people. So it is also important to not place a value judgment upon whether or not this is exciting for someone or not. Just because it's exciting for you, don't enforce that as a path for everyone. Because there are some people who embark upon this false path of a sort of pansexual superiority. They like to consider that they are attracted to everyone and they are open to every being, and therefore everybody must be that way because it is more open, more embracing. And well, that is a relevant path for some. It is not a relevant path for all. And the universe has no judgment upon what you are attracted to. What you are attracted to is attractive for you because it's meant for you. And yes, there are many people who are confused about what they are attracted to because they learn beliefs that say what is attractive for them is bad and unacceptable. And that is why it is important to challenge your beliefs and trust your feelings.
Wonderful. I, Amanda, would like to invite anybody who might be just a little nervous like I get to voice their question before I attempt to read another. There's one more chat question, Dante. So,
All right.
please, anyone who would like to ask anything, go ahead.
Hello, Pleiadian Council.
Hello.
I would like to have a similar question like last time. Unfortunately, one of my friends suddenly and tragically transitioned last week, and I wonder if he has any message for his friends and his family.
What is the name?
Milan Stick.
All right. He's very sorry for the way that it happened. He wishes that he had been more careful, more thoughtful in different points of his process. He wishes it was not as sudden, and he now sees some of his mistakes as he is immersed in spirit. He has nothing but love and compassion. He wishes that he sees the possibilities. He wishes that he saw the possibilities that he didn't see before. But now that he has the eyes to see, he is completely forgiving, and he wants others to know that he is present with them. There are still echoes, you could say, astral bodies that need to be released. And this process might take some time. Know that he is again with all of you, and you may feel his presence as you create spaces of silence and contemplation. Feel in his presence that he is loving, and he wishes nothing but happiness and growth for all.
And was this also surprised for him, this accident?
Of course, it was a surprise for his conscious mind, though there was a soul agreement behind it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you very much. And
Yes.
say my hello to him, please.
Oh, yes, he is saying hello right now. He is with you. He is connected with you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes.
One more question from the chat.
All right.
I'm not sure who this is from, but I'll go ahead and read it. My
All right.
17-year-old son is taught to follow his excitement and is totally loved and supported by his parents. I encourage him to follow his passions, but at the moment he's unmotivated, says he can't be arsed to do anything, won't share how he is feeling. How can I best support him apart from staying in a good state of being myself? Thanks. And kisses.
Is there something that he would be excited about doing with you just for fun? Maybe it's taking a hike. Maybe it's going to the beach. Maybe it's watching a movie together. Of course, teenagers at this age want to be far more on their own. And in a way, you can accept that if he doesn't want to do these things, that's an expression of his excitement. Sometimes this brooding energy is necessary for someone at that age to be able to feel individuated. Indeed, he is struggling with some ideas that limit him. He is sometimes falling into comparisons, thinking that he doesn't even have the power to do some of the things he would wish to do. So one thing that would be very helpful is to also let go of some of your past expectations that you might have had. Even let go of the expectation for him to be happy. Simply accept him as he is and as he's feeling. Accept that while you might have the idea of something very exciting, expressing as a very empowering energy, perhaps excitement for him is in small things. And he might be for some time in a process of getting to know himself. It's important for you to trust in that process and trust in him in that process. Let him know that you are willing to support him in doing whatever he wants. And also be so unconditionally loving that you're letting him know that you're willing to support him in doing nothing if that's really what he wants. Because again, sometimes that space of complete letting go, of a complete surrender, is necessary in order to get to know yourself and get to know what really is exciting for you.
Please unmute yourself, Z. Go right ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Pleiadians, for this transmission.
Yes, sir. Thanks to you.
My mother transitioned very recently, and I would just like to know how she is.
She is welcomed by the Great Spirit, the Source, in the total arms of love. She is a bit surprised that things on the other side are not what she expected, though she is embracing of it. She's seen some of the rigidity that she's had and held in the past, some of the limitations, some of the formality, in a way that she now wishes she had been more open-hearted, more forgiving, and more accepting. And you might feel this shift in her energy as you meet her in spirit. She is around you, but she is not coming in so close just yet to give you some space to feel, to grieve, to let go, to be with yourself. At a certain point, you may choose to let her in even more, and you might feel her around. You might feel the changes that are taking place in her at a soul level. So when you feel ready, you may make an altar with some things that were sacred to her, or a picture of her and a candle, and let her know that you would like to feel her presence more closely.
Thank you. I'm
Yes.
so grateful for you sharing that. Thank you.
Oh, yes.
Is she at peace?
Yes.
Okay. My love to you, Pleiadians. Thank you.
Our unconditional love to you as well. And yes, she wants you to know, she just asks your forgiveness and wants you to understand the limitations that she went through. She opens up to much greater love, and she's always loved you. And now you actually may feel her love even more in time.
Thank you for that. It's
Yes.
very, very, very significant. Thank you, Pleiadians.
Oh, our love to you. Yes.
May I have one more question?
All right.
I'm just wondering if Milan wants to have any message to be shared on social media.
He doesn't want a message to be shared in that way, but he would like for his family to know that he is sorry that he can no longer support them in the same way, and that he wishes that he had appreciated his time with them more. That's all.
Okay, thank you. I will share with them.
Yes.
Could I also have another question again as well?
All
Please?
right.
Thank you. As I understood from Bashar, practically only our true needs are guaranteed to be manifested, which in essence are pretty basic in my opinion, our true needs, true essential needs. And our wants do not always correspond with our needs, and thus, could I consider, for example, a luxury car or a comfy mansion as my needs? And could we essentially manifest anything, or where are our limitations, and how do we make this difference between our true needs and our wants?
Well, a need is something that is essential to your survival. And obviously, the basic needs are for water, for breath, for food, sleep, shelter. This sustains the body. Now, there are additional layers of needs that are for self-expression and relationship. And the, these are emotional needs. You need to feel connected to the world around you, and you need to be authentically expressive of your emotions. And the idea behind this is that if you don't express your feelings and express yourself, you will block the flow of emotional energies. This will eventually become some form of disease. Indeed, almost all disease is psychosomatic. It manifests from the emotional level. Same is true with the idea of relationships. If there is not that healthy expression of the love that is the essence of your being, you will not feel as connected to the universe. And eventually, that disconnect will cause you to not feel well. So, when it comes to needing material things, you don't really need any of them, essentially. But yes, in terms of how your world works, you might consider something like a phone a need, in the sense that this is important for your ability to maintain your relationships. Now, do you need the latest phone, the iPhone 28? Or can it just be whatever phone is there for you? Indeed, this is where there is distinction. Now, say what is relevant for your self-expression and your relationships is to be able to drive from one place in your country to another place on your own time, because there isn't necessarily a bus, or taking the bus would be very inconvenient because your self-expression involves bringing many art pieces, artifacts, instruments, or something or the other from place to place that just won't fit any other way. Then you can say you need a car, but somebody might not need a car. Do you need a Lamborghini? You absolutely don't need that. And focusing on things like that is not necessarily helpful for most people. Now, of course, there are people who can afford luxuries. And we would say that, all right, you can want that, you can enjoy that if that's accessible to you. But remember that you don't really need it. And that just becomes the problem for people of such a class in your world, is that they begin to equate possessions, money, uh, fame with self-worth. And in this false belief, they become entrapped in never-ending cycles of desire, keeping them focused on what is non-essential at the expense of the essential needs for, yes, relationship and self-expression. Instead of expressing their true self, they get attached to the idea of creating an image of who they are, because that image constantly requires maintenance to be the very perfect kind of person according to their beliefs and values. They end up expending more energy on maintaining their image than they do on creating authentic connections and getting in touch with their emotions. As a result, oftentimes these people develop complex health conditions and very difficult relationship dynamics, because where their energy goes is not on what's essential. Now, of course, the same thing may manifest on a smaller scale, or not necessarily smaller, no, on a different scale for somebody who is not of such an elite class. Even people who are struggling to get by will often confuse their needs and wants. Perhaps it expresses in the exact same way that people deny their needs because they are attached to the image of being a good person according to different standards. Rather than getting in touch with their emotions, they might outperform, give away their energy, spend so much time constructing the idea of who they are so that they can feel safe within themselves, rather than going deep within themselves to connect with a true level of self-expression. You have to get to what is essential, what is real. Yes, you don't need to be perceived a certain way by others. That is a mistake that many people make. You don't need that. What you need is an authentic relationship with others. And having one or two authentic relationships that completely allow you to be yourself is more nourishing for your heart and soul than to have hundreds of relationships with others in which you are presenting a false narrative about who you are by not being honest about your emotions. If you are playing a character in a story to hundreds of people, it's actually more draining to you and limiting to you than it is to be completely honest with a couple of people who totally know and see you and relate with you in an honest way. You see what we're saying?
Yes, what I was wondering is, for example, there's a big difference between traveling from point A to point B in a luxury car or in a bad car or semi-good car. And you get there much more comfortable and keeping your energy high. And can we manifest, for example, luxury car, or do we have some limits? I'm just giving an example that's probably representative of many other things. Why do we limit our manifestation ability?
Does the vibe stay high for you because it is wondrous according to your beliefs and comfortable? Or is this more luxury car naturally a higher vibration? Again, these are all conditions that you're placing. It can be a bumpy ride, and you can learn to make the best of it. Perhaps you enjoy the bumpy ride. Perhaps you can appreciate the journey that you're on. And it comes in recognizing that you have exactly what's relevant for you and nothing that is not relevant for you, that allows you to know what your needs are. You don't need to travel in style to be complete and fulfilled as a soul.
In style, but in comfort. It's really a difference there.
Why is it comfortable to you?
For example, if I drive 1,000 kilometers in my car, my back will hurt. For sure, it happened.
Well, that's assuming that you don't get out of the car every hour, do yoga, move your body, take a walk, and then continue. If you did that, your back wouldn't hurt. So you can see that the luxury car would make it easier for you to go continuously. But any car doesn't have to hurt you. It's simply a matter of choosing to adapt to your circumstances.
So
For some people, they'll get there slower. For some people, they'll get there faster. But when the process is the point, the speed of the process is irrelevant. And again, remember, you often have to slow down in order to speed up, because when you rush, you limit your awareness. You wear blinders so that you can't completely see yourself and the whole picture in the utmost clarity to every detail. And by cultivating a greater energy of presence and allowing your awareness to be deeply focused on all of yourself and all of your surroundings in the moment, you actually gain more ability to appreciate and enjoy reality, but also you ensure that you avoid mistakes and pitfalls. Rushing often prevents the journey from being appreciated, and it often causes you to make mistakes and encounter difficulties. So you have to accept your journey, and you have to accept that if you have all it takes to meet your needs and you're not thriving, it may be because you are insisting on outcomes and you are attaching to ideas of what isn't really relevant for you.
So it's about more appreciation of what is, and that will attract even more, because I'm sure that I would do good with some biohacking devices and toys, and I love creating and designing spaces, and currently I'm quite limited in this area, and this contradicts the old adage of you can manifest whatever you imagine and things like that. And
Well,
that's
you can't manifest anything you imagine, though the way to manifest it is through appreciation. Yes, because appreciation is what keeps your vibration high. And that's why the teachers of such manifestation tools always tell you to not create the gap between what you want and what is by feeling any sense of lack or craving. It's when you feel this lack or craving for something you don't have, it's far better to distract yourself from that low vibration by doing something joyous and playful with what you do have.
Mhm.
It is about immersing yourself in the flow of love as continuously as possible. When you act on your highest passion to the best of your ability without insisting on an outcome, you enter a flow state. The flow state is both healing and it generates synchronicity. What's relevant to you comes, and what isn't relevant to you does not show up. The more time you spend in this state, the more second nature to you this state will be. And This state allows you to appreciate, enjoy, and adore everything that arises in the moment. When we say act on your highest excitement, we're not saying, we're not including in that things that are not possible in the moment. So you can't say, well, right now my highest excitement is to drive a car that I don't have across the country. If you don't have the car, that's not included in acting on your highest excitement. It might mean that your highest excitement then becomes working towards getting what you want, though you also have to ask yourself, is there not an easier way for me to stay so super excited? What does the symbol of what I want represent? If it represents freedom and empowerment, there might be paths of lesser resistance to express the idea of freedom and empowerment that are actually more accessible to you, but you're not letting yourself see them because you're being blindsided by focusing on a specific idea that you want rather than being spontaneous in the moment and letting your heart be guided towards what's really most exciting for you within reach.
Great. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for the advice.
Yes.
Yes. I'll do
So
that.
remember, don't give up on the dream of joy and freedom. Just recognize that, again, you're in a world where you have been taught that happiness, joy, and freedom comes from certain experiences so that you become a cog in a machine. The machine itself collapses when you recognize that happiness, joy, and freedom come from something other than what you've been trained to pursue. And that is a part of collective awakening. It is the love shared between people that makes your experience all the more deep and meaningful. It is the love that you express by being who you are and doing what comes naturally to you that is far more relevant than the idea of owning this and that other thing.
Of course.
And yes, there's many ways that you can improve your health, but beyond having a good diet and honoring your own belief systems, the most important thing is that you allow yourself the full expression of your happiness that comes from doing what you love the most and sharing it with people that you love as well. That is what will allow you to be more healthy and happy than you consider possible. It doesn't require all of these fancy new technologies, all of which can be helpful and are exciting as part of humanity's development. But remember, they're not essential because humans long before lived for much longer simply because they were expressing the flow of their passion and they didn't have the limitations that you had now. Let yourself know that your body itself doesn't necessarily need to be hacked externally. You can hack it internally yourself by focusing on your pure excitement and letting go of your insistence and letting that guide you.
Yep. Goes deep. Thank you.
Oh, thanks to you, yes.
Dear Stante and
Awesome.
Council, you have reached your recording limit in
Oh, right.
in the matter of time.
All right. If anybody who hasn't yet asked a question or only asked a short question would like to ask another, we'll allow for that today, yes.
I have a quick one. I'm interested to know, if you can say it briefly, the connection between the Lemurians and the Pleiadians.
oh, the Lemurians were in contact with Pleiadians as they were in contact with many different galactic civilizations. We were, in many senses, good friends. But again, when we say we in this sense, we're talking about our own ancestors, because we are not the same as the Pleiadians that visited your planet in times before, even though we come from the same star system. We did some different rituals together. We shared our knowledge and information together. Occasionally, some Lemurian beings came to visit our world. The bridge was very much open between our realities. In a similar way, we were both the sorts of beings that were focused on what you could consider a more feminine polarity, that is more creative, more introspective, more spiritually oriented. This was in contrast to the Atlantean beings who were more focused on creating an ordered, structured society and developing their world in a sort of logical way. That isn't to say that they were not spiritual. They did not have great and deep spiritual mysteries, because they did, but they were slightly more oriented towards that masculine polarity.
Thank you.
Yes.
See, did you have something else you wanted to add?
In the silence, you may come to discover what is truly essential for you. In the depths of your heart, you may get in touch with what your truest needs are. As you hold your heart and all of its longings and regard, you may also come to be aware of why your heart feels as it feels. As you hold your heart deeper and deeper, potent transformation is available to you. It is time for you to release your expectations of where you were supposed to be at this time. It's always a good time to do so. But in the window of this eclipse, the power of your choices become far more amplified. The power of your intention becomes more amplified. And again, when you understand the motivation within your intention clearly, then your intention also has the greater potential to manifest in the clearest way. Focus on pure motivations for expansion into love. And remember that any thoughts you had yesterday or yesterday about what today was supposed to be like are not relevant today. What's relevant today is the reality of today. What will transform tomorrow into the most wondrous experience is creating the most wondrous experience here and now by embracing this reality, by embracing the essential love that has always been the ultimate background of all that is. Because all that is love in this universe. That is the best way that you can understand the very nature, the very fabric of reality. It is love. Because in this realm, you always have the power to choose. This power to choose can always direct you back to love. When you choose love, everything else transforms. When that love is truly unconditional. When you let go of what is not essential. Recognize now in your world, those who cause the most suffering are deeply focused on what is not essential. They want to lift up their egos with all of the status and all of the possessions and all of the power to control. In order to combat this, you have to be something different. You have to recognize freedom comes not from having control over others. Freedom is just another word for nothing left to lose. That isn't to say freedom is to be penniless. No, this freedom is the willingness to detach from what is not essential. When you are not bothered as to whether you lose or gain, you become free. And that freedom allows you to be truly guided by love in the moment. Because your world trains all to seek to gain this or that thing to finally find happiness, love, and freedom. But none of those things bring you happiness, love, and freedom. As soon as you get them, you want more. And this is why true happiness, love, and freedom don't come from desire. They come from embracing yourself as you are in the moment. Thus, as you embrace yourself, you empower yourself to choose to act on what you love. As you choose to act on what you love and you surrender, you enter into a flow, and everything that is really relevant for you will either come towards you or the path to it will illuminate itself with utmost clarity. Our thanks to you for co-creating this transmission at this moment of your time, and I wish you a fantastic day and a fantastic integration of these energies. That is all.
Thanks to you as well.
Yay.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, everyone, for being here and for co-creating.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Dante.
you.
You're
Many
welcome.
thanks, Dante.
Yeah. Thanks for
Appreciate
joining.
it.
So, a reminder to those who might not have tuned in for the beginning, there's a new book coming out in a couple weeks or a month, so stay tuned for that. And live streams will be happening more frequently. Would love your support when the book comes out to share it with as many people as possible. And also, as per usual, DanteStarshine.com has all the info that might be exciting for you if you're interested in having a session or joining the channeling course that's enrolling, or diving deeper into the Pleiadian's messages, which you can find in the first two channel books that are available there. You can do that. And also supporting these transmissions is appreciated. If you want to share a donation, it allows me to continue to do this, and supports all the other background costs of Zoom and websites and blah, blah, blah. So I really appreciate that, and thank you for sharing that. And yeah, that's also, you can find the info for that on the website on the contact tab. Yeah, okay. And anybody else want to say something or share some feedback or interesting messages?
Congratulations on your book.
Oh, thank you.
And thank you for this transmission again.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining.
Sorry I was a little late, but I'm gonna go and say goodbye to everyone. Thank
Oh.
you. Dante.
Bye, C.
Bye.
All the best to you.
Love to you guys.
Love
Much
to
love.
you.
The same.
So is the book available right now, Dante?
Oh no. I
Yeah, I
mean,
didn't
well,
think so.
the first two books are available. So the guidebook to living love on Earth is a very like encompassing long book, sharing the Pleiadians' wisdom on many things like the galactic history, or their connection with Earth, and then guidance for personal transformation and all of the realms of education or relationships. It's really a book that attempts to answer every question you could ever ask. That's why it's so long. But the next book is actually much more fine-tuned. It's supposed to be much more universal, and it's much more oriented towards staying in the flow state and overcoming obstacles to the flow state, which are our beliefs, our fears, our limitations. How can we confront them in every moment to keep ourselves aligned in love? So that's what the new book's about. It's called Heart First.
So excited. I can't wait to read it.
Yay. Okay, wow. Wow.
Well, have yourself a beautiful day.
Yeah. Enjoy the eclipse. It's not visible here, so
Say it again.
enjoy the
I don't.
eclipse visible here.
Oh, right. Oh my gosh, I can see the moon. Oh, that's fabulous. I don't think I missed it. I
No,
think
you
it's
didn't.
gonna be. I think it's going
It's
to be happening soon.
yeah.
But she looks lovely. Can you see her?
Oh yeah, amazing.
I'll be
All
up
right.
for it.
Well, great. Thank you, everybody. Much love. See you later.
Love you, Don.